Welcome back, Fallout 76 players. This is Cosmic Scoundrel bringing you another video. Let me start by addressing what I feel are the most powerful builds as of the latest patch. These are Bloodied and Sneak builds. I don't consider these builds overpowered, and I hope they don't get patched down the line, because each has reasonable trade-offs. Bloodied requires you to have low health, while Sneak requires you to play in stealth. I am in favor of the Bloodied build because I like to run in swinging, though the stealth build is challenging and fun in its own right. So, for the purposes of this video, we will stick to a Bloodied build. The primary weapon is a Bloodied melee weapon with a Bloodied shotgun as a suitable secondary. It seems that the Scorchbeast Queen is more resistant to explosives with the latest patch, in addition to the explosive and two-shot damage nerfs. I say this because I am able to get my Bloodied explosive prime pump action shotgun damage up to around 1600, and it still does significantly less than my Super Sledge, even without the Incisor perk on, which is also doing 1600 damage. In short, I don't think she's worth wasting ammo on. The shotgun is still useful in situations where you need ranged weapons, like shooting down the cargo bot or grounding Scorchbeasts, but for overall damage, a melee weapon is going to be your go-to for this build. On to special stats. Go ahead and invest 15 points in Strength, 3 points in Perception, 7 points in Endurance, 4 points in Charisma, 8 points in Intelligence, 11 points in Agility, and 8 points in Luck. When using a melee weapon, go ahead and pick up the 3 perk cards for a specific melee type, such as the Slugger cards for two-handed weapons. Also grab Martial Artist to reduce the weight of melee weapons by 60% and increase swing speed by 30%, as well as the Incisor card to ignore armor by 75%. The Incisor perk adds roughly 20% extra damage at max level. If you are using a lower level of the Incisor perk or other weapons that ignore armor, use a multiplier of 0.75 over 0.2 equals x over y, where x is the armor percent ignored and y is the damage. Then cross-multiply and solve for y. An example would be, if your weapon ignores 50% armor, the equation becomes 0.75 over 2 equals 0.5 over y. To solve, multiply 0.2 times 0.5 to give 0.1, then divide by 0.75 to yield 1.3 repeated, which translates to a 13.33% damage increase for that weapon. So Incisor is absolutely worth picking up if you have a melee weapon. Next, for Perception, you will want to grab Glow Sight for 60% extra damage against glowing enemies, which tend to spawn quite often as you climb levels and explore the wasteland. Endurance cards should include Life Giver to give you extra HP, which is great for Bloodied builds where you are running around at low health, so give yourself those extra points. You will also want to grab Rejuvenated for the extra 50 HP, 35% disease resistance, and 50 AP regen. You just need to stay above 75% hunger and thirst to keep these buffs. The last perk I recommend is Radical, which gives a nice boost to carry weight and melee damage as your radiation increases. And if you like chems as much as I do, throw on Chem Resistant rank 1, pop one in, then switch it back to Radical. Charisma is fairly simple. Use Lone Wanderer if you're playing solo, otherwise throw on Tenderizer rank 1, Suppressor rank 2, and Strange in Numbers. If your friends don't have mutations for whatever reason, I suggest using Team Medic rank 1 instead of Strange in Numbers, so your friends gain health when you use a stim pack. And remember, you can share any of the rank 1 perk cards you have equipped since your charisma is at 4. For Intelligence, definitely equip batteries included so you can carry all of your fusion cores and free up stash space. And, as I mentioned in my previous video, carrying fusion cores with batteries included is much better than increasing their duration with the Power User perk card. Your next card should be Makeshift Warrior rank 2, and Nerd Rage maxed out. This will help maximize your damage and defense since you're at low health, and help your weapons break slower. Agility perks include Action Boy or Girl for 45% faster AP regen, which does work with power armor. The Adrenaline perk for an additional 10% damage after each kill, up to 60%, and each kill resets the timer for 30 seconds. And lastly, Gun Fu, which works with melee and gives you 10% extra damage on your second target, 20% on your third target, and then 30% extra damage to your fourth target. Remember, you can switch targets by pressing left and right on the D-pad to make sure you're dealing that extra damage to the enemy you want. Last but not least, Luck. I always run with Bloody Mess for 15% extra damage. Class Freak to reduce negative mutation effects by 75%, and Starch Genes so you can keep all those lovely mutations you picked up. Now for the shotgun variant of this build. You just need to swap out a few cards. For Strength, use the 3 Shotgunner perk cards instead of the melee-focused ones. Also, equip Scattershot so your shotguns weigh 90% less and reload 30% faster. You want Blocker as your last card, so you can take 45% less damage from opponents' melee attacks, which is great for the shotgun build in case enemies do close the gap. For Perception, you are going to want Skeet Shooter to tighten the spread of your shots. Keep Life Giver, Rejuvenated, and Radical for your endurance perks. Intelligence gets a little complicated. Since we are using an explosive shotgun, we want to equip Demolition Expert, but only rank 2. The reason is because the explosive effect adds 20% of a weapon's base damage to the weapon. For example, let's say your shotgun does 100 base damage. Now with the explosive legendary modifier, it does 120 damage. The Demolition Expert perk at max rank adds 60% more explosive damage, which is an additional 12% total damage. So, our explosive shotgun with max rank Demolition Expert does 132 damage. But, you can equip rank 2 Demolition Expert, which adds 30% more explosive damage, translating to 6% more total damage, bringing our shotgun to 126 damage. Then throw on Nerd Rage rank 3 for 20% more total damage at low health, which brings our shotgun's total damage to be 151.2, a good amount of damage above just using Demolition Expert for the same perk investment of 5 points. In short, because this is a Bloodied build, throw on Nerd Rage max rank and Demolition Expert rank 2 when using the shotgun. And of course, make sure you have batteries included equipped as well. For Agility, keep Action Boy or Girl and Adrenaline, but switch out Gun Fu with Enforcer. Enforcer is great for grounding Scorchbeasts and crippling enemies, so definitely use it. For luck perks, you are going to keep Bloody Mess, Starch Genes, and Class Freak. Now for Mutations. Adrenal Reaction will increase your weapon damage at low HP at the cost of 12.5 total health. Remember, the Class Freak perk in Luck reduces negative effects by 75%. This mutation also stacks really well with our Bloodied build and Nerd Rage. Bird Bones increases agility by 4 points, which adds 40 extra AP, and it reduces fall speed. I didn't realize how great reduced fall speed was until I got this mutation. In Power Armor, with the Marsupial mutation, every time I jumped, I would crash land in Power Armor, which is super irritating because you can't move for a second after you land. But with Bird Bones, you're good to go immediately. You do lose 1 strength with this mutation, but it's worth it. Grounded increases your energy resistance by 100 at the cost of 5% reduced energy weapon damage. Marsupial increases carry weight by 20 and boosts jump height, but you do lose 1 point of intelligence. Scaly Skin adds 50 damage and energy resistance, while reducing total AP by 12.5. Twisted Muscles grants plus 25% melee damage with increased chance to cripple, but brings down gun accuracy by 12.5%. All these mutations working together really help this build. I don't recommend Unstable Isotope or Electrically Charged because some enemies heal from radiation, and by inflicting a small amount of damage to enemies, they eliminate your instigating effect if you do use an instigating weapon. I run around with one on this build a lot of the time so I can one-shot enemies. Also, I like keeping Rejuvenated active for as long as possible, so Speed Demon isn't something I felt was worth it. Speed Demon increases your food and water decay by 50%, which makes it so I have to collect and carry food and water too often. A quick thing to note. Definitely grab some Deathclaw steak and Yaoguai ribs when you can for food. They add a lot to your hunger meter, and the Yaoguai ribs add 10% melee damage, while the Deathclaw steak increases strength by 2. I've included a couple locations for the Yaoguai and the Deathclaws. Well, that's all I have for you today. My tips and tricks video will launch later in the week, so stay tuned. As always, thanks for watching. Hopefully the future of Fallout 76 is bigger, better, and brighter for all of us still wandering the wastes. Cosmic Scoundrel signing off.
Well, I'm getting tired working hard every day. Working every day and not getting much pay.